Now let's see the classification of computer. So we have seen the definition of computer. Computer is a machine, a device which takes input, okay, does some processing, gives the output and stores the result. Okay, so let's see classification. Now the first classification is based on size and power. Okay, size means how much space it is occupying, power means how much fast it can produce the result. Okay, based on purpose, for what purpose the computer is used, we can classify it, and afterward we are going to see based on the data types. Okay, which type of data it is taking as input, you can classify on that also. And finally, based on the functionality, for what functionality it is going to be used, you can classify the computer. And if you see the classification of computer on the basis of size, there are basically 4 classification of computer, starting from the microcomputer, mini computer, mainframe computer and the supercomputer. Okay, what are these and how they are different from each other, we are going to see in today's class. Okay, afterward, based on purpose, we can classify the computer into 2 categories, that is general purpose computer and special purpose computer. And based on type, we have 3 type of computers: analog computer, digital computer and hybrid computer. Again, what is the difference and how they are same, how they are doing the task, that we are going to see in today's session. And coming to the functionality wise, we have 3 categories. In fact, one more is there, that is quantum computer. Okay, so in the classification of computer, if you talk this based on the data type and based on size and power, these are the 2 important categories on which you can get one question. Okay, so let's see the first one by one. And if you see, the first important classification of computer is based on the data type. Okay, so as we have seen the definition, that it is going to accept the data as an input. Okay, what type of data it is going to take as input, based on that there are 2 type of computer in fact. Okay, the first one is analog computer. Okay, as the word suggests, analog, so the input is the analog data. What do you mean by analog data? Which is basically a continuous physical data. Okay, I'm not talking about digital one. In the analog computer, the data is continuous physical. How can you see that? As a temperature, as a voltage, as a pressure. Okay, so like if you have seen the temperature, okay, if the physical quantity is temperature, okay, so this data is varying continuously, so in that way it is a continuous physical data. And if you see the voltage, like voltage is there, so again it can be high, it can be low, it can vary from the time to time, so again it is a continuous physical data. And if you talk about pressure, okay, so pressure is again a quantity which changes over the time and which is continuous in nature. Okay, and the very important pointer to the analog computer is that it does not require any storage device. Why it does not require any storage device? Because it is continuous in nature. Okay, data is coming continuously. Okay, there is no requirement of storing. Okay, storing is required if you want to do processing at the later stage. That will come as a part of hybrid computer, that we are going to discuss afterwards in fact. But for analog computer, just remember it does not require any storage device, and this pointer was asked in RRB and TPC. Okay, I repeat once again, analog computer is one that take data as a continuous physical data. It can be temperature, voltage, pressure. Okay, and it does not require any storage device. And we have seen in the previous class that Samrinder Kumar Mitra has designed the first analog computer in India, and this pointer was asked in SSC CHSL. Okay, so basically analog computer is the computer which works on continuous physical data, that we have understood. Okay, and let's see the example. The thermometer is the easiest example. If you take the example of thermometer, it is taking input. What type of input? It is taking the continuous physical data, that is temperature. Okay, it is processing it. Processing means like whether you are reading continuously. Okay, so based on that some action is taking place, and once that temperature stabilizes, you are displaying on the mercury bar like you have a temperature of 100 degree. Okay, so you are giving the output. Okay, similar to speedometer. Speedometer basically works on the speed which is a physical quantity which is changing over the time, so it is again some sort of analog computer. Similarly, ECG, EEG machine, all those are analog computer. But student, remember that nowadays analog computer are really used. Okay, nowadays hybrid computer are very popular because we need the data to store in some place. For that we need digital computer. Okay, and if you see, this is the first type of analog computer. If you see, there are some bars, some buttons in it which is taking analog input to the machine, and there is one voltmeter also. You can see the voltage level which can be seen on the screen. Okay, coming to the next type, and that is digital computer. In case of analog computer, it is a continuous physical data as an input, but here it is a discrete data. Okay, discrete data means the data will have binary digit. Again, this discrete data is based on the analog input. Okay, but we are quantizing it, like whether it is a 1 based on the voltage level itself. Again, like if my voltage is 5 volt, I am considering it as a 1. If it is 0, I am considering it as a 0. Okay, again, if my voltage rises to 5 volt, I will make it as 1. If my voltage remains 0, I will make it 0 at my sampling rate. Okay, so just remember, it is working on some sort of discrete data. Okay, discrete data is what? It is binary digits, and sometime it is asked in exam what is bits. It is the abbreviation of binary digits. Okay, and what is good in that digital computer is that it can perform logical and mathematical operations using digital circuits. Okay, so bits are there. In order to do calculation, you need some circuits. Okay, so digital computer use digital circuits for performing some operations. Okay, and nowadays every arena you will see PC, laptop, smartphone, ATM, digital watch, all are example of digital computer only. Okay, so all are digital computer. And as you can see, this is our desktop, these are the smartphone, digital watches, laptop, all are digital computer. Coming to the third category, that is hybrid computer. And as the word suggests, that hybrid, it is a combination of both continuous and discrete data. It takes data in the continuous form as well, like analog data. It takes the data as discrete to process it. Okay, and remember that analog part will measure the analog data. Okay, analog part will measure where digital part will process. This is a very important point. Okay, and as you know, if you have analog part, you need some converter. Okay, that is ADC, analog to digital converter, which convert analog data to the digital data. Okay, right? You understood now? Okay, I will repeat once again. Hybrid computer works on both type of data. Since hybrid computer is having analog part and digital part, but digital part need the data in discrete form, so some sort of converter are required. Okay, for example, sensor is giving data in the continuous form. It need to be converted into digital one by using some circuits called ADC or analog digital converter, which makes the data in the discrete form, which is going to use by the digital circuits and as well as for storage. Okay, and in exam they will ask you the examples. Okay, and these are the two examples which are commonly asked in exam, that these hybrid computer are used in hospital to measure the heartbeat of patient. You can relate with that, like my heartbeat is in continuous form. It has sensors in it which convert heartbeat into the digital circuit, and it is going to store on the machine. Okay, and like air traffic and radar, like again, like air traffic, where is the plane, or where is the flying device which is going to be captured by radar. Radar is again an analog device which converts the data into digital circuits, and that will be processed by a digital computer. Okay, so in this way this whole computing thing is a hybrid computers. Okay, and this pointer was asked in SSC CHSL. The next classification is computer based on size and power. The first one is the microcomputer. Okay, and the very important definition itself that it uses the microprocessor. Okay, and it is the latest technology, you can say. Okay, microcomputer uses microprocessor. It doesn't mean like mainframe and the other supercomputer are not using microprocessor, but the name comes from the word microprocessor because it has miniaturized the entire computer into a very reduced space. Okay, since the size is small, it is known as microcomputer. Okay, and if you talk about speed, it can do task or instruction from 1,000 to million of instructions per second. What does this means? If you have 1,000 to 100 million instructions in it, it can execute in 1 second. Okay, the speed is huge. Okay, but it is not sufficient to do if you require a lot of calculation like supercomputer, that would not be sufficient. It would take more time to produce the result. And these type of computer are basically suitable for one user. Okay, if you have one laptop, that will work fine and that act as a microcomputer. And if you talk about the example like desktop computer, laptop computer, tablet, smartphone, these are the example of microcomputer. Okay, just I will repeat once again that microcomputer are generally small in size and these are suitable for the one user. Okay, so you can think desktop computer, laptop computer, tablet, smartphone, those are all microcomputers. Okay, and the first laptop was developed by Epson HX20, that is the first laptop name, and it was developed in 1981, and this pointer was asked in SSC CGL. And how it looked like this. Okay, so you can relate at like in year 1981 this was the first laptop. Okay, it has all the features. Okay, why it is called laptop? Because you can take in your lap and do the task by sitting or anywhere. Okay, so the first laptop was developed by Epson HX20. Just remember the name, Epson HX20. Coming to the next is mini computer. The size is medium and its speed is moderate, like whereas if you talk about micro, which execute the instruction thousands instructions per second, here it increases to millions of instructions per second. Okay, and it support multiple user, say 10 to 200. Okay, and the very popular example are PDP-11 and IBM AS4000 computers. Okay, And just remember for your knowledge that PDP-8 was the first mini computer in 1965. Okay, PDP-8 is the first mini computer, and this computer was made by Digital Electron Equipment Corporation, that is DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation. And if you see the screen, this is the first Digital Equipment Corporation mini computer, that is PDP-8. So it looked like this. Okay, so this is the first mini computer. Okay, it support multiple user and speed is higher than the microcomputer. Coming to the next type is mainframe computer, and in mainframe computer the size is very large and the speed is again million of instruction per second, and it support multiple user. In mini computer we have seen it support up to hundreds, but it can support up to thousands. Okay, and a very important pointer is that it is known as big iron type. Okay, and main purpose of mainframe computer is basically that it is going to be used in large organization like bank, airline, railways, which have thousands of users. Okay, basically those are server types, so you can think like servers are basically the mainframe computer. Okay, and if you see like any bank you take, okay, bank has multiple like 1,000 crores of customer, so they need some larger computer to process all the data. Okay, so mainframe computer are those computer for which requires multiple users. Okay, and if in exam they ask which type of computer used by large organization like bank, airline, your answer should be mainframe computer. And IBM Z series, if you see, this is IBM Z series mainframe computer. Okay, it can support multiple users. Okay, and it is very big, you can see. Okay, the next one is supercomputer. As I told you that supercomputer does a lot of speed, like it has trillion of instruction per second. Okay, and its size is huge. Okay, but the good thing is that like supercomputer does calculation very fast. So why it is required? So sometime like for R&D we require more computation resources, because in order to generate the result we need more power. Okay, and whereas if you talk about supercomputer, users will be few. It is a very costly computer, but the size is huge. The great advantage is the speed. Okay, it can do trillion of instruction per second. Okay, you will get a result in microsecond. Okay, like if you talk about the AI nowadays, all those AI are using the supercomputers. Okay, and the main purpose, as I told you, it is scientific research, nuclear reactor and weather forecasting, and this pointer was asked in RRB, NTPC and SSC. Okay, so supercomputers are used in scientific research, nuclear reactor, weather forecasting and climate research. And Cray and Param series, as I told you in many times, like if you see this one, this is a Cray one, which is now put in the museum, whereas this is our Param series computer. Okay, so these are the supercomputers. Now let's classify the computer based on the purpose. The very first one, a very simple one, it is general purpose computer. As the word itself suggests that which is designed to perform variety of tasks. Okay, and basically it is versatile in nature. So as I told you in the previous chapter, versatile means which can do variety of tasks. Okay, and a general purpose computer, it can be your laptop, it can be your smartphone, mobile. Why it is a general purpose computer? Because it can do a lot of things. Okay, you can draw, you can record in the phone, you can take photograph, you can do editing, you can do surfing. Okay, so basically the nature is versatile. Okay, so these are general purpose computer. Okay, On the contrary, special purpose computer are designed to perform the specific task only, okay, which are dedicated in nature, okay, and the main purpose is to work faster and efficiently. If you talk about ATM, that is automatic teller machine, which is used to dispense the cash from the bank, okay, this is a special computer. How it is special computer? Because it is dedicated to withdraw the money from the bank, okay, only specific task. And coming to the traffic controller, it manages the traffic, okay, just managing the traffic. It is dedicated nature. It is not used to surf, it is not used to like editing, only just traffic management, okay. Coming to the navigation computer, like GPS, if you talk about GPS receiver computer, it does only the navigation part and nothing else. So those are known as special purpose computer, which does only the specific task. Okay, so in exam they can ask you ATM is what type of computer? It is a special purpose computer. And this is a ATM, okay. Coming to the other terminologies like real-time computer, embedded computer, and quantum computer. Okay, so the real-time computer, as a word suggests, that the output should be produced on the real time. Real time means the exact timing, the right time, the real time. Real time, for example, I want to book my ticket on the railway counter, okay, and if I am booking the ticket at railway counter at say 10 a.m. okay, so the output should be at exactly 10 a.m. not 10:01 a.m. okay. Even 1 second is not tolerated in the real-time computer, okay. Real-time computer, if you talk about like safety critical system, okay, so if 1 second you have lost, means the entire system can fail, okay. Some say suppose fire controller is there, okay, that is a real-time computer. So in 1 second it is not giving the response, means that it can result the catastrophic result, okay. Coming to the embedded computer, which are generally inside some other smaller computer, okay, those are called embedded computer, which are residing on some other devices, okay. And nowadays quantum computers is a huge hype, where it works on the principle of quantum mechanics. As you know, quantum mechanics deals with a tiny particle which is known as qubits, okay. Qubits, which means 0 and 1s are bit, but it can be both also, okay. As you know, like these are the tiny particles which can be in the any state, but this tiny particle, if they are staying in the both states, it is known as qubits, okay. And people says that these are faster in the computer, and even Google and Intel are making quantum computer. They are working on quantum computer, okay. Tangle Lake and Sycamore, these are the example of the quantum computer.